Okay, we thank you so much for watching us. Yesterday, there was a piece of news here in Abeokuta reported by a very popular radio station that a Boko Haram leader who was arrested somewhere in Ijai, Abeokuta. He was traced by the DSS, and well, thank God he's been arrested, and I'm sure that all that is needed to be done will be done to really prevent the spread. That's not a story that one should treat with a pinch of salt, because it came from a reputable media organization, and I think it also tells the story of the spread of insecurity in the land. That's what we're looking at this morning. If we check the papers this morning, almost all of them have one story of insecurity or the other, and it's like it's become the order of the day in this country today. So we can't stop talking about it. This morning we want to look at the spreading wave of insecurity in Nigeria. We've got in the studio carefully chosen guests to look at these. On my immediate right is the chairman of PCRC in Ogun State, Venerable Samson Popola. Good morning, Venerable Popola.
Good morning.
Good to see you again once more. Thank you so much. We also have with us a member of the Society for Peace Studies and Practice in Ogun State, and also a lecturer at Federal College of Education here in Abeokuta, Dr. Olumiwa Adetuji. Doctor, good morning.
Good morning.
Good to see you. Thank you so much. Let's start from home, Venerable. The reports that we got yesterday, are you surprised?
No, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised because if you look at the quantum of SKP from the Kuje Custodial Center in Abuja, about over 400 of them. So it will be foolhardy for us to expect that we will not have them, moving all over the country. So I am not surprised that we have one in Ogun State. But what I'm really surprised about is that we have not done enough, to nip it in the bud, to actually know that this sort of thing would have happened, and then the government would have been more proactive in telling the people to be on the lookout for them. The pictures were distributed as the point, but the Nigerian factor, after about 2 or 3 days, you hardly see those pictures again in the media or anywhere. So these are sort of things that should have been a continuous, exercise, sensitizing the people on what to look for, their faces and all that, flash the faces on the media so that at least people will be. So I'm not really surprised, but I thank God that at least one of them have been arrested, and that will probably, be a pointer or a lead to others,
But I think it's also something that should be applauded. The intelligence work of the DSS people, who, we understand them, traced this man to Ijayi and got him arrested.
That's actually what I said, that at least we're happy that the DSS actually did that particular work. So a lot of intelligence will have gone into that, and I'm sure that, the capture of that particular person will aid them, in nipping others.
Well, I have my own fears. Good, he has been arrested, but if you look at the trend, others that were arrested before now, the likes of Aliero that was even to banned, and there was another one that confessed to drinking the blood of people he killed. They were later released one way or the other. Even the one that happened in Igboho, the man was later released. Do you think these two will be the same?
I believe that there are some underlying factors that may not be open to the public when it comes to this level of international relations and then dealing with these bandits and all this. But I think the government itself, the body language of the federal government is not giving the people the confidence that we are actually fighting these people. Though I know that when it comes to the issue of the Fulanis, there is hardly a boundary, a territorial boundary for them. They don't have a territorial boundary. When you look at Yorubas, for example, even while we have Yoruba in the Republic of Benin, we still know that these people belong to the Republic of Benin, and these are Nigerian Yoruba. But hardly can you find that sort of thing within the Fulanis. They believe that everywhere they go is their homeland. I think the government should do more. The examples you have cited are, bad, a bad precedent that is actually emboldening these people the more to continue to do what they are doing. And of course, you know that in Nigeria, once you have criminality, every criminality in Nigeria will eventually turn into a business enterprise. And so what we have now has gone even beyond the criminal aspect of it, the business aspect of it, the economic aspect of it, is now what is actually fueling the thing, you know, kidnap somebody and gets hundreds of millions of naira. Why would somebody who is getting that wants to stop doing that particular thing? So I think there must be a concerted effort from the government that we really want. I believe that in fighting these bandits, there will be collateral damage. We cannot continue to run away from collateral damage and continue to, you know, because we know that if we bomb them or if we do this, people are going to get hurt or something like that. We are in a war situation, and we have to realize that we are in a war situation. So we believe that these people should have been frontally, taken up so that it will serve as deterrent to others, because they are getting more emboldened day by day.
Dr. Adetuji, you don't fear that this could actually consume the entire Nigerian space. Now, apart from the report in Abeokuta yesterday, Abuja was recently attacked. Then there is this one too, security alert somewhere in Lagos, Lagos and Enugu. We thought that it won't really spread down here, but look at the rate at which it's coming down, and looking like the entire nation is already consumed by this.
Exactly. Good morning once again. Thank you for having me. Just like my co-speaker has earlier presented, the situation of the country calls for concern. It calls for concern in the sense that prior to now, we all thought the insecurity was limited to
the north,
northern Nigeria, the northeast, northwest, and north central. But here we are, it's moving down south, and right in our noses, we have the security challenges. They are no longer pockets. You have them spread across the country, spread across the south, so much that everybody now feels that there's this fear and apprehension around the south. And if I may just react to what he said, I think that alone speaks a lot about how we are gathering intelligence and what we are doing with intelligence we have gathered so far. Just yesterday on Channels TV, there was a report that over 6,313 people have been killed between January and June this year. That's an average of 1,000 plus per month, at 37 people killed every day. These are Nigerians, these are human people like you and I, and when we have these killings every day and we just act as if it's normal, I think it calls for concern as a country. It raises questions about the capacity of our security agencies, of what they are doing right and what they're not doing properly, which I think they can work on subsequently. So, of course, what we have right now, there's no doubt about it. The country is insecure, and more needs to be done from the leadership to the security agencies to ensure that this is controlled before it blows up in our faces.
Talking about intelligence gathering,
yes.
I want to cite example of the Kuje Custodial Center. It was reported that at the House of Reps that they actually got about 44 warnings from DSS, yet nothing was done. In fact, I think a few hours before the attack, they had to change some of the personnel at that place. So when you talk about intelligence gathering,
yes.
I think nothing has actually been done about the little they've been getting. Oh, what to take?
Yes, it's a very sensitive question in the sense that there are two sides to it. One is that, do you have intelligence reports before these attacks are launched? Prior to this time, Nigerians used to doubt if there are intelligence reports at all. Perhaps that is why you have these guys having these attacks at ease. They launch attacks, and there's no stopping them from launching attacks and killing Nigerians at will. On the other hand, is that if there's intelligence, the question is that what are we doing with that intelligence? How much of these attacks have been prevented? Intelligence means that before the attacks are launched, it means that they must have been nipped in the bud. So as a country, I question our intelligence gathering in the sense that we have not seen attacks prevented. Rather, what we have seen are reactive measures where after the attacks have been launched, you now have security agencies scampering around, trying to clear debris of dead people, or the carnage, or the government condemning such actions, or you have the usual condolence visits, which has become part and parcel of us. So I think that intelligence is very key in fighting insecurity. Anywhere in the world, all over the world, where you have these security challenges, intelligence is at the center of it all. If we are gathering intelligence, then the question is that what are we doing with that intelligence? The Kuje attack, which you referenced, leaves much to be desired, in the sense that you said there were 44 reports. Now the question is that those reports that were given out, what was done with them? Perhaps nothing. Even the president went there and he questioned. There was no CCTV. What who are in charge? Asking the right questions, in week out. Some figures like you are. Yes.
That this has been politicized. Do you share that opinion?
There is no doubt that security in Nigeria may have been politicized. But I must tell you, it's a very dangerous trend for you to politicize security. Security cannot be politicized in any way. In any serious country, anywhere you go in the world, security is, you have core professionals who are put in charge of security sector. You don't have politicians. So if it's be politicized, it means that we may be responsible for the challenges that we face today.
Politicized ethnically, because you should also check the service chiefs.
Yes.
Many of them have been coming from a particular part of the country.
Yes, I know those concerns have been raised before now. And of course, for a country, for a multi-ethnic, multi-religious country like Nigeria, you don't expect to have appointments coming from a section of the country. I will not be in the position to explain the rationale behind those appointments because the president decides who he wants to put in charge. But I think that it's one thing to have just a section of the country put in charge of security. It's one thing for those who are in that section, in that sector, to be doing what is expected of them. So I think that for the purpose of this discussion, let us put aside where the service chiefs or where they come from. It's about, let's question their competency and how much are they doing with what they have, with the resources they have, and what are we doing with it to curb what we have presently on ground.
Venerable Wala, you are chairman of a police community relations committee, and I also know that a whole lot of reports, sometimes most of them unverified reports, claim that when criminals are arrested, they're taken to the police station, and before you know it, a day or two, they get out of police station. Nothing happens to them. Is this not an extension or reflection of the policies we are talking about? Because if we also look at the state of insecurity in Nigeria, it is not something that is not in open space. When Jonathan was leaving office, there was this accusation that it was deliberate, attempt to discredit Jonathan's presidency, and some people were imported into Nigeria, and all those stories and all that. Now it has assumed a very, very large, dangerous scale. You don't think that hitting it, on the head, it is purely political?
Thank you. Let me start by referring to the Kuje situation, I was talking about intelligence gathering. I don't think we actually need any intelligence for us to know that if you have 67 core commanders of the Boko Haram in a place, incarcerated in a place, we should know that the group will be doing everything possible to get them out of there. So without even any report, we should know that that custodial center is a soft target for these people we are talking about. And how on earth can we have about 1,000 people moving on a motorbike in the modern day Nigeria, and we don't have, enough equipment to be able to detect their movement? Even within our own small phone, you could still be in US and be monitoring what is happening in your own home by just, installing a software. And we are talking about this country. So I believe that whether they have intelligence report at Kuje or not, Kuje should have been something. It's a shame. It's a shame that a custodial center and the status of Kuje could be attacked so easily, and over 400 and something people, criminal released into, and up till now, I'm not sure that we've rearrested up to 100 of these people. So we have that problem.
I'm very close to a time Mr. President went to Liberia.
To talk about security. So what are we going to teach Liberia? How their prisons are going to be attacked, could easily be attacked, and their prison taken out. How the brigade of guards that's supposed to be one of the most sophisticated when it comes to equipment and everything could easily be overrun by these criminals. But let me come to your question. A lot of people still say this about getting criminals to the police station, and in 2 or 3 days they are released. That won't be the fault of the Nigerian police. That will be the fault of the system that we run. And that will also be the fault of the people themselves. I always say that when a criminal is apprehended, the police is there to investigate and to prosecute. But there is no police in this country that will prosecute a case when there are no witnesses that are ready, to follow the case to its logical conclusion. Or let's take an example.
But we also hear of order from above that it should be released.
All this we were talking about still has to do with the docility of the people. If a criminal is apprehended in a community, and the community stands that this criminal should be prosecuted, and we are ready to go the whole hog, attending the thing. Everybody will just drop criminals on the police, and everybody will go back, assuming that the police will take up. Because, a robber comes to my house now, apprehended and handed over to the police. The police will not be there to tell the judge how the man came in, the time he came in, what he took. It had to be me, the affected, to be able to stand and give, give report of what actually happened. The police is just there as an arbiter between the victim and the judiciary. So a lot of our people believe that once you hand over a criminal to the police should do all the. It's not like that. It doesn't work that way.
Protection for the witness?
What?
Will there be protection? The witness, will he or she be adequately protected?
That still has to do with the system we are running. That still has to do with the system we are running. So for as long as we continue to run away from prosecuting criminals and running away from prosecuting criminals, we will continue to have them released, because the law says that they can't be held beyond 24 hours. That is the law. And by the time you go against that, that's another thing on the human rights. The human rights people will come and start saying that this person has been here for more than 48 hours, he has been here for more than 72 hours, he should be charged to court, he should be done, and you charge that person to court, the witnesses are not there to so I know that we have I'm not defending the police 100%, but I'm also saying things that I know, that I have seen. And that's why I continue to tell our people that as CDA chairman, you are the chief security officer of your community. There is a responsibility. Once you become a chairman of a CDA, you must be able to take the responsibility along with the position you are taking. One of the responsibilities is to make sure that you are available to protect the interests of your community by going to court to make sure that criminals caught in your community are diligently prosecuted. But if you are not going to be there, you say, I can't leave my work, or I can't go to court, or I can't go. And of course, some of them are right. You go to court, you see a case dragging for 2 years, 3 years, and you want somebody to leave his source of income. So it has to do, it's a whole gamut. The system needs to be, rearranged, or I don't know how to put it. It's the whole system.
Reset.
What about the case of Alero that was even banned? He has been on the wanted list, yet during the turbaning ceremony, we had security personnel on ground. He was not arrested.
That's why I said, just like he posited, the economic aspect, I am not sure, I stand to be corrected, that even our security agencies are not benefiting from these ransoms we're talking about. Because when you have a multi-billionaire, it's not a multi-billionaire enterprise.
So it's an industry.
It's an industry. Who knows who the shareholders are? That is the problem that we seem to have.
Okay, Dr. Adetuji, what is the fate of the common man now? Look at Daily Sun. Ministers, senators, reps avoid states, seek refuge in Abuja. Top politicians also abandon flashy cars, move around in disguise. What is this fate of the common man if the big men are in this situation?
Yes, we are in a very bad situation, I must tell you. We should not deceive ourselves. It's very bad. What we see is very bad. Even Abuja is no longer safe. You just referenced the attacks on the presidential guard of. Those are the people protecting the FCT. So if you could have that on TV yesterday, the NSA said the guys were decimated. That was what he said. I'm quoting him. And when you have this, it speaks a lot about how bad things are in this country. We need not deceive ourselves. Things are very, very bad, security-wise. For the common man has no gun to protect himself, and he can only do what is available. Perhaps give reports, even though you are scared if that report will not come to haunt you. Because like he said, we have had times where reports were given security agencies, and in the end, whoever was reported will come back to the informant that, the one who told them to. So even that alone, at times forces people to withdraw, and so there's this conspiracy of silence. But for the common man, going back to your question, for the common man, for the average civilian, we all need to be watchful. We all need to be more careful. We all need to know that we are in perilous times, and we should not act as we shouldn't think that these times are normal. These are extraordinary times, which calls for extraordinary measures. And what we need to do is to change our at our homes, at individual levels, we need to change our security ourselves, know where we're going out, be watchful of who is training us. Don't go out at dead times of the night. We all need to be careful. Right now, there have been reports that even the Southwest has been infiltrated by these criminal elements, that virtually all the bushes around, you have these guys. And this alone sends a signal that no one is safe. You only go to your house at night. You don't know where you'll be waking up the next morning. I want to bring attention to what is happening in the north. Prior to this time, there's been so much noise of killings, of carnage in the north. And those of us in the south, we just think it's normal. It's not normal. It's not normal. People in the north are Nigerians like you and I. And they have been facing this insecurity for some time now. Now it's getting to us, and we are feeling the heat. So we can only imagine what they are going through in the north. We can only call on our security agencies to do more, because that is what they have been. That's the duty they have been assigned to. We can only call on them to do more to ensure that the country is we have more protection. But more importantly is that for the leadership, there's need for decisive action. When people that have been appointed for security duties have failed, they have failed not once, not twice, the president should take that decisive action, perhaps relieving them of their appointment and replacing them. Let me bring attention to...
But they've been replaced. They've been replaced.
You can replace them as much as possible.
Until you get the result.
Even when replacements have failed in that same respect, then you have no choice than to replace them again. Let me bring attention to I think she mentioned the attacks on the Kuje prison break. Kuje will not be the first prison attack. We have had several of those. How many of the heads of those prisons have been fired? Or even their controller general. So when you have outright failure in terms of people who are put in charge of, there should be consequences. If we don't apply consequences, that means that we may not go far to nip this in the bud. Because what I see every time is that, yes, there are attacks, then after a while, after a few days, we all move on and we all forget. Until a new one is launched, they will now begin to recall the previous ones.
Doctor, are you going to be fair to those who, I mean, you mentioned the custodial centers.
Yes.
If attacks that have been having, and those who head those centers have not been reprimanded, what if the institution was bigger than them? Can you make them victims of this? You know, because sometimes too, you may not even be able to blame Commissioner for Security, Commissioner for or police in a particular state for some things, because if he opens his mouth to talk, one could be shocked. You know, do you think it would be fair to them?
Nigeria's security architecture is multifaceted. You have the police, you have the DSS, you have the prisons, you have the army, and you have, of course, the paramilitary agencies. I think that to suggest that if we ask for the heads of these institutions to be reprimanded, it may be too hard. I think that will be condoning inefficiency. We are civilians, and we do not have any role to play with regards to security. But they are core professionals, and that is why they have been appointed to such sensitive offices. So I think that when you have these attacks, not once, I'm not referring to just an attack now, maybe not one isolated attack. I'm talking about repeated attacks. So when you have this over and over again, something must give in.
The point I'm just trying to make is, I look at the issue of cultism.
Yes.
You are a lecturer in a higher institution for repute. You know, will it be fair to be blaming lecturers for cultism when our students, you know, they leave the campus at weekends, you know, and so some people will be expecting the lecturers to follow them home to go monitor what they do in the society? You don't think it's bigger than that, Doctor? I'm sorry, I'm putting you on the hot seat.
No, it's okay. Cultism is a vice of our society.
Yeah.
In fact, Ogun State has been renowned for, in the last few weeks, in the last few months, we've had a series of attacks across the city, in Shagamu, in Ijebode, in Elaro. That has been in the news. But incidentally, what we have had in the last is a new trend of cultism. It's not student cultism now. There are people who are not students, artisans, plumbers, bricklayers, who are, you know, who are waging war against themselves. So that's a different trend. And I think even that alone should be studied on its own. How come cultism is leaving our campuses, is now going to the societies, where you now have people who are not students. Cultism used to be a campus thing.
Yes.
And even the one you referenced, once they go outside their compound, outside the school premises, and whatever they do outside is not known to the authorities.
Yeah, that's the point I'm making.
So once they go outside, they're ordinary Nigerians. So if they like, they can launch attacks. There's little the school can do. But of course, as you know, even cultism that we have on campuses, you can also finger some of the politicians, because some of these guys are people they patronize, that they use for election purposes and what have you. So all of these they're all wired, they're all connected in work. It's a part of our systemic, it's a systemic problem that we almost have a proper X-ray of and chart the way forward.
Yeah, let me just say something, because what you were trying to say is that a workman is as good as the tools available for him to work with. Yeah. So I think from that point of view, we must look at, because when you look at the sophistication of the criminality that we are having now, you compare it to what is available for our security agencies to tackle them, you'll find out that there's a lacuna. There's a lacuna there. I don't know what's happening to our so-called acquisition of 6 Tucanos or something like that we got, and then we got these Tucanos and we got it with a proviso that this is the people that we can fight it with, we cannot fire, and somebody signed such an agreement. You know, such an agreement that you have people that are killing people, an average of 37 people are dying every day from the hands of these people, and you are still saying that these people cannot be attacked with what we bought. I don't think that is right. And one thing also that we have to look at is that what you have said about the equipment available to these security agencies. Just look at the police stations now. Yeah. An average police station in Ogun State, I think the best that we could have is just having 2 vehicles. And some of these vehicles are sometimes not unserviceable vehicles. So I think the government needs to do more to equip these people. Just like we said, these security agents we were talking about, they are human beings. They don't have any supernatural protection, that's different from you and I. So we need to give them the wherewithal to be able to face this. Some of these things we see on social media, and you see somebody taking a KPG or what do you call it, and then you say about 300-500 rounds are going, and you want somebody to now take a AK-47 and then ta-ta-ta. When you have you could see the lacuna there. So I think the government also has to do a lot more in equipping our security agents to be able to deliver on their mandates.
Especially now that they too are being kidnapped.
Of course, the heat is on.
Yeah, because the attack in Abuja was on soldiers, and these soldiers have been attacked. I don't know.
Even about 10 policemen were kidnapped in one of the states. I can't recall the particular states.
But again, let's look at it from a global perspective too. There is also this accusation that most of those that are attacking Nigerians are not Nigerians. When you look at the porosity of our borders, where we can only talk about official borders, there are a whole lot of unofficial borders. Nigerians, with foreigners from Chad, from Libya, and all that. What do you think the country should do, in all sincerity, to actually checkmate these, Dr. Adiji?
Yes, thank you. One of the issues that has been mentioned, which has led us to where we are, is the positive of our borders. That our borders are porous, and this has allowed these elements easy access into the country, and this has led to what we currently have on our hands. Of course, presently across the country, some of these criminal elements include ISWAP, Boko Haram. I'm told there are four groups, 4 cells of the Boko Haram. So you have different people fighting all manners of war. You have ISWAP, and you now have the bandits, all waging war against the Nigerian state. There's no doubt that our borders are porous, and this has allowed them easy access, and the implications are what we have on our hands. So if we should be talking about how do we curb insecurity in the land, we should be also thinking along. We should also be thinking along how do we stop the easy access of Nigerians and non-Nigerians across the borders. Our borders should be manned. Our borders are manned, but at times it bothers me why we still have these numbers of people. We seem to be a country that is very reactive. We are not proactive enough. Nigeria's borders being porous is not a new phenomenon. It's been there for decades, if not as long as the country has been there. So if we know we have this challenge, the question is that what are we doing to stop it? Yes, the borders are porous. The borders may have been porous, maybe some times back, but we didn't have the challenges. But now that we have them, what are we doing to stop this and ensure that we don't have these attacks over and over again? Of course, some of these ISWAP guys, we've been told that they were trained outside the country, were brought here, and they have the best of ammunitions. So perhaps maybe I should start from where he stopped, which is that our securities should be given all that they need. If you have guys that are better equipped, it speaks a lot about how we are arming our security agencies. On no account should they be better equipped than our security. It will be very difficult if our security agencies have AK-47 and those guys have
KPG.
They have more sophisticated weapons, and perhaps maybe we should also be thinking of terrorism funding and how they are recruiting members. Because what we have now is that you have an attack in Kogi, before you know it, you have another one in Niger. So these guys are in numbers. So what we have is like you have them in numbers so much that even it is very difficult for the security agencies to respond to all the attacks at the same time. And that has been a challenge as to how to even curb the mess we have on our hands.
Let's again look at the response of the authorities. I think it's also like, I have a feeling that those that are running this country, those that are in the corridors of power, don't understand the propensity of the magnitude of what is happening, or they don't understand the need for Nigeria as a country to really be. I mean, if an American citizen has a problem in Nigeria today, I know American government will react immediately. In fact, almost in the jiffy, they will be here. Historically, do you think we've had the leadership that understands that, I mean, your president is not just called commander-in-chief of the armed forces for form. He needs to wield that power. He also needs to understand the powers that reside in his office. Maybe we don't have commanders-in-chief, who understand the enormity of powers and the challenges that are, that reside on that seat he's sitting. You don't think so?
That's a very big question. Everything falls and rises with leadership. That's what we have been told. Nigeria, there's no doubt that we have some of the best brains anywhere in the world. Nigerians are known to record big successes in virtually all sectors around the world. But there seems to be this nagging problem with how we recruit our leadership in Nigeria. We seem to be going from bad to worse, or sometimes from worse to worst. And perhaps that has led us to where we are at the present. At the center of what we're facing right now, leadership can be questioned. There's a big question rising on the effectiveness and efficiency of those taking decisions on behalf of the rest of us. It's been in the news. It's been reported that even somebody like the NSA should have been fired long before now. Perhaps if the NSA can also admit that Nigerians are willing to take up arms, Nigerians are willing to defend themselves, that is self-indicting. That indicts the government of today, so that the government has failed to protect lives and properties, which of course is the first primary duty of any government in the world. So when government fails to do that, that speaks a lot about that quality of leader. And so now the question is, where do we go from here? Going forward, we need to have leaders that are decisive. Timing is very, very important, taking the right decisions, and the timing of taking such decisions. In the last 7 years, our president seems to be very reactive to most issues, and that I think has led us to where we are. So if we, I'm coming, sir.
Yeah.
So if we really need to go forward from where we are, the president needs to really understand the enormity of the problem. And the question is, how does he know? He knows by the appointees that he has around him, who informs him daily of happenings. I want to believe he gets his daily brief. And if he does, it means that the buck now stops on the table as to how to take the right decisions. We were informed on national TV.
He was not even aware that the bandits threatened to kidnap him.
I was coming.
Yes.
I was coming.
No. You know, El Rufai actually said it.
Yes.
That he had to tell the president.
Yes.
And the president was that, I was not aware.
He was not aware.
You know, that alone speaks a lot about the kind of advices and briefs he gets from his aides. What happens to the NSA, his media aides, his security aides? What happened to them? Do they deny him of what he should be aware of? If that is the situation, it means that perhaps the problem is probably bigger than what we think. So if the president is, if they are holding information from the president and he's not aware, how do we expect him to take such decisions when and where it matters?
Dr. Adetunji, you are going back to the point, my fear the other time. You said maybe the problems are bigger than Mr. President. Now, but what more does Nigeria need? Obasanjo, former military ruler, became civilian president. After him we had we had Jonathan. Between the period that was in power and Buhari came in, we had issues, big issues. Now, Buhari came in, a former military ruler too, way back 1983, in no-nonsense, he led a no-nonsense government, of course, with his deputy, Idiagmo. And we thought that insecurity would be a thing of the past when Buhari came in. Now, it appears it has grown worse. And a whole lot of things have actually made this, to be this way. I don't know. I have my opinion about this. I'm not supposed to have an opinion. I'm a presenter. But you see, I think Nigeria has never really been this divided, ethnically, in terms of ethnicity, religion, politically, and of course in terms of insecurity. What do you think is wrong? Do you think Nigeria has grown to a level where the country is bigger than whoever is leading it?
No, I don't think so. I think what we have, the problem we have, has to do with these selfish interests of our leaders. Selfish interests of our leaders. We've not seen a leader in this country that actually loves this country the way we should love it. Banditry, insecurity, criminalities, and all these sort of things you've just mentioned have now become political tools. During Goodluck Jonathan, we had the other one saying that they were brought in. So who knows who is funding this? Because we cannot have this level of insecurity in this country without collaboration from inside. Even if people fighting us are Americans, they are not even Nigerians, they are Britons, there must be some level of collaboration. So who are the people behind this? For about 6 months now, we heard that they're going to tell us who are those behind funding it or something like that. People are getting equipment, they are getting ammunition, they are getting, from where? Where are they getting it from? These ammunitions are being manufactured by certain industries. And they are getting into the hands of these bandits that are fighting this country. And we are up to today, we have not been able to monitor the source of their equipment. We have not been able to monitor the source of their funding and then be able to do something about it. I think what we find out that everything is happening now, the insecurity we have now. When you look at our politicians, they are not bothered about, curbing this insecurity. They are rather interested in using it as a means of campaign to get to power. That is the problem. Rather than seeing this as a challenge that all of us must face, that Nigeria is a problem, our people are being killed, and we all must come together and fight it. People will now start using
this particular security as a political.
And I've also listened to, I think 2 or 3 of those that are running to become Nigeria's next president. I've listened to Obi, I've listened to Tinubu, I've listened to Kwakwanso, then Atiku. None of them, you know.
We are not asking questions.
I think none of them even.
And I think we're not asking questions.
None of them has even sounded convincing, you know.
No, 6 months to election, we are still bothered about who is a Muslim who is a Christian, who is from North, who is from South. We are not even asking these people the right questions. The policies. Where are your policies? How do you intend to tackle this problem? How do you go about it? Those are the questions we'll be and that what bothers me is that even intellectuals on the cyberspace, you will see them talking as if nothing is at stake. We should be engaging. Yes, Tinubu wants to be president, Kwakwanso wants to be president, Obi wants to be president, Atiku wants to be president. I don't care about how old you are, I don't care about your age, I don't care about your head status, I don't care about that. What are you bringing onto the table? How do you tackle these things? So we look at that.
They don't want to go the way of late Awolowo, who divulged all his ways,
his plans, his strategies.
The strategies. But at the end of the day,
he didn't get it.
In America today, they engage their leaders. If we have political parties that have ideologies, you already know that this is a leftist ideology, this is a rightist ideology. You know that what the leftists would do, the rightists would likely not do it. They have a way of solving their problem using their own ideology. So if we have been failing in the past because we have not been asking questions, shouldn't we be asking questions in 2022, 2023? Shouldn't we have brought them out? Let us know what you want to do. I will look at the capacity, your capacity to be able to do these things.
Some people will say that economic problem, you know, Karl Marx in those days mentioned about the superstructure, you know, is the economy. But I think for Nigeria, in this age, it's security. I don't think it's. I think there are economic issues, no doubt. But I think the Nigerians are resilient people, you know, even with the skyrocketing prices of...
resilient of
those are resilient too. Because if you see the way an average Nigerian takes care of himself, an average family takes care of the family, you'll be shocked, you know. A 5,000 naira, you know, is enough to take care of a particular family in 2-3 days. Whereas some other families, one in a space of 5 hours, you know, for 5,000 naira is gone. Even in 1 hour, it's gone. So I think for Nigeria, it's really become strange, and the entire world is laughing at us. The president was in Liberia to talk about security when our home is porous, doctor.
It's quite sad. When I got the news report that he was invited to Liberia to give a lecture on security, I was wondering what was he going there to deliver. And I must also even speak about the frequency of his foreign trips the last 3 months. He had to travel almost a day or 2 days after an incident happens. In other climes, that will not even happen. Even if he had a scheduled program where you have such attacks or incidences, he should have cancelled those trips. There were more pressing issues at home rather for him to travel outside the country. But you know, he's the president. He decides whatever he wants to do. On the economy, there's no doubt that the insecurity that we face today has far-reaching implications for our economy. It has implications for investors' confidence. It has issues on how much we are devolving to security sector as opposed to building the economy or other viable sectors of the country. In the last 7 years, records have it that we have devolved, we have budgeted more money for security than any other sector. And despite that, what do we have on our hands? What we have is still what we are seeing. People dying almost on a daily basis. Nigeria is becoming a killing field. I must tell you that Nigeria has become almost an embarrassment to the African bloc, or even an embarrassment to the entire world, because we are portraying ourselves as a country not capable of managing its own affairs. So how does a country as big as Nigeria, with over 200 million population, not being able to manage its own affairs.
Could that be a problem, our population?
I don't think it's a problem. There are far more political countries across the world. China, even the US is bigger than Nigeria in terms of population. That should not be a problem. I think that as much as our population keeps rising, maybe we should be talking about population control, maybe in the near future, but that should not be a problem. What we have right now is we need the political class to be more serious. We need them to be more decisive. Variable was earlier talking about issue-based campaign. Perhaps maybe campaigns have not started, so maybe we should not be in a hurry to criticize the aspirants for not telling us their plans. But I think that they're only talking to us. So what we should be seeing, we expect them to be discussing issues. We have issues on our hands, and we cannot be passing. We cannot be ignoring these issues and be discussing religious issues, personal attacks. The other time you had attacks between Atiku Abubakar and Bola Tinubu, launching an attack. I was like, is this what we need in 2023? Considering the challenges on our hands, we don't have people who are discussing these issues. Okay, how do we move forward? After all, 2023 is about Nigeria. It's not about the PDP or APC.
Yeah.
And not all of us are even APC or PDP members. So we expect they should be talking about how do we make the country better and how do we rise above the challenges that face us
with the
today.
spate of attacks in the country now, and the threat that, they're coming to attack Lagos, some states in Southwest.
Even
do you think the election will hold? It's been the fear of virtually everybody now.
I'm optimistic that the election, will hold. But I also believe that what is happening now has shown that no part of the country is safe. And that will probably ginger every one of us now to come together and fight this menace, rather than seeing it as a northern affair. For a very long time, we have seen it as a northern affair. We have not done anything from the south to assist them in the north because we believe they are killing themselves, and so they should continue killing themselves. But now they are coming down here to kill us. And so I think we need to come together. People need to be more security conscious. Like what happened in Ijai shouldn't have happened. Somebody shouldn't have, employed a security man without doing a background check.
We don't have data.
We don't.
We don't have data in this country.
You need to do a background. If this person is one of those that escaped from Kuje, and somebody has done, a background check on it, I think we have the pictures of the 67. It should be somewhere with the police. So our people need to be more conscious in taking whatever action they need to take. They need to be more conscious. They need to be more proactive in protecting themselves, and they need to work more in giving information and intelligence to the security.
There's no way we will not still come back to the community, and I know that's your area, Venerable. But as we're closing gradually, let's go back to the doctor. There's this call, for state police, community policing, and all that, and it doesn't appear we're serious about this. Isn't it high time Nigeria took this challenge of doing state police?
Thank you very much. I'll take two questions in one. First is that we are preparing for elections. Should that be our focus now? I think our security should be our major challenge for now. We should know that except those challenges are solved, elections next year are doubtful. In 2015, elections were postponed, I think by a week or 2 weeks, and that can happen. Right now, except there's relative calm across the country, it will be very difficult to hold elections in some parts of the country. So I think for all of us, our resources should now be channeled towards how do we solve this nagging problem that we have on our hands. That should be our major priority for now, rather than put all our attention on the elections that are coming up. Yes, going back to the second question, there's no doubt security cannot be centralized. The argument has been made, it's been made across the country. Now is the time to take a second look at how do we devolve security to the constituent units. There's no doubt about it. The federal police structure is not helping us. It is very difficult to man every nook and cranny of this country. And that is what we see on our hands. So going forward, it is time for our lawmakers to think along this line and put in necessary legislations to ensure that state police is allowed so that the country can be better governed. Thank you.
Venerable, your parting shots, our communities have to also be on red alert. I drive into my, I'm a night crawler, I drive into my community most times around 10 p.m., 10:30, 11, and I don't see anybody challenge me. No security and all that. What will you say to CDAs?
It still borders on the docility that I was talking about, because everybody should know that the period we are now are not normal period. We are in a state, whether it's declared or not, there's a state of emergency in the security, sector, and everybody, especially the CDA, must up their game. You are the security officer of your community. There must be something, there must be a local, structure to take care of the community. And that is why, because we don't do this, that's why we have this infiltration of these people coming into our community, just settling down without anybody challenging them, without profiling them, without knowing where they're coming from or their references before we allow them into our communities to settle. So I think beyond just the monetary aspect of, getting your rent or something like that, we need to do a lot of background check on our tenants, on the shop owners, on people coming into our community, in and out of our community. Because if we are able to checkmate from the community level, then that will escalate into a better security for the whole nation.
We must thank you so much for coming on this program. This morning it's been a very, very exciting 1 hour with our guest on the program this morning. We'll be looking at Nigeria's spreading waves of insecurity. And this is not, it's an open-ended topic. We'll continue to talk about it because there are no signs that this will abate. We must thank you so much for coming once more. Venerable Samson Popola, Chairman, PCRC in Ogun State. Thank you for always obliging us. Thank you so much. We also thank Dr. Olumuyiwa Adetunji, a lecturer at FC Oshele here in Abeokuta, and a member of the Society for Peace, Studies and Practice in Ogun State. We must thank you so much, Doctor.
Thank you
for your input. Okay, so we'll take this break. When we return, we shall be talking about the economy, Naira versus dollar, the effects on the economy. Stay with us.